Hey. Hi everyone. We are gonna start here with we're gonna start here with Voila Montessori here at the Lindsay School, and I'm gonna let Jean-Marie take it away. Okay, boys, let's go outside to eat.
This way, Okay. So first, before we get into the home, I would like, look at how they like. You see, I brought these for you. Yes. Okay. Before I get into the specifics of the home, I like to always kind of talk about what the child needs. And the child before 3 years of age has some very basic needs. So we know that they need food and shelter. That's pretty basic. But beyond that, what do they need? So I've laid out 6 basic needs. The first one is love and security. Love and security, that they're wanted, that they're loved, that their little cries are being answered, that they're fed when they're hungry, that they're changed when they need to be, and so forth. So very important, because that establishes the foundation of our personality. When we trust the world that we're born in, it's called the basic trust, and it's really one of the foundations of getting on with life. So yeah, be careful with that. Thank you. Secondly, another basic need is movement. Children like to move, you and I like to move, and we should always give them the ability to move and not restrict them. Okay? And we'll talk about that a little bit more. The other thing is language. And when I say language, I mean you interacting, looking into their eyes, and just kind of responding to all those little sounds that they might make for those little, there's something very important that they want to say. Language is something very special that happens in the brain in total secrecy for the first 2.5, 3 years. Because when you think about it, a child is born without any language, and in about 3 years' time, they speak a language perfectly. They just, perfect syntax, full sentences, they tell you what they want. So all of that is happening in the brain. But if we don't give language to our children, it doesn't happen. So if they don't hear language, if they don't have us responding back to them, it doesn't happen in the brain, the connections aren't being made. So really important to remember that. The other thing that children need is to be independent. And if any of you have little toddlers, you probably already know that, because they're all saying, me do it, I do it. And that's part of that independence. And I think all of us here in this room like to do things for ourselves. So children are no different. They want to be independent, and we need to create a home that lets them be independent. The other thing is firm and kind limits. That means boundaries. That means knowing how far they can push their limits. Their job is to push all the limits and to try. But our job is to say, you know what? I love you, but the answer is no. I can't let you do that. And to be kind and firm, but to have them. You are in charge. You're the adult. And the other thing is order. And when I say order, I mean the way we organize things, but also the way we organize our day and the routines that they have. Okay, very important. Do you have any questions? Anything? There was one question at the beginning about what was Montessori. So I just want to give a quick little, you might have heard it. It's an educational method. So there's different educational methods, and Montessori, the word Montessori comes from a woman named Maria Montessori, who lived more than a century ago in Italy. And she was actually the first woman allowed to attend medical school in Italy. She had to ask permission from the Pope, if you can imagine that, to be able to go to medical school. The men were not very happy with her being in medical school. They would actually let her to, you know, do all the experiments alone at night because they didn't want to get in the same room with her. So, you know, she had her struggles, but after medical school, she worked with children. And from her work with children and her scientific approach, she developed really an understanding of children that we have today. And a lot of what she discovered more than 100 years ago is today being proven with brain research and brain scans of how children learn, what children need, and so forth. And so that's where I was trained, and I was a teacher in a Montessori school for many years. And from there, I had so many parents ask me questions as to why their children were so different in the classroom that I decided to share it with all of you and to share it so that people could really do things in their homes a little differently for our children. Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Earlier you said that without education, that the parents don't give their kids language and that.
So if language isn't given to children, it doesn't happen. So if a child is not talked to, doesn't hear the language, they'll won't develop it. So it's really about us humans interacting with each other, and that's how language happens. So it's about you, you know, looking excited when they are talking to you, even when they're little ones and they're just starting to form words and you don't quite understand it. Pretend that you do and engage and get them to be excited about sharing what they have to share. That's how we handle language. And share your feelings too. Share, you know, good days, bad days, mistakes you've made, good wins, everything. Because that will also help our children share with us later on. And you really want that when they're a little older and a lot of things are going on. So, alrighty. So for the home, when we create the home, I like to really think about it as really having a special guest coming over. This special guest happens to stay quite a while. But there, you know how when you have a guest from out of town or maybe a relative coming, you kind of prep the house and you maybe, you know, get their bed ready and make things a little bit different so that they're going to feel comfortable. Well, it's the same thing when we welcome a child into our home. So we kind of have to think a little bit differently because children have different needs than ours. Our environments are very adult-centered. I mean, this room for everything, you know, everything is up high at my eye level. A little child would, you know, have to be looking up to see anything. So you want to be thinking a little bit differently, and that's the work that I do. When I go into people's homes, I really kind of put myself into whether it's a 6-month-old home or a 4-year-old and really look at it in a different way. So the home should definitely encourage safe exploration, meaning that this is their home and that they need to be able to move about it safely. So yes, you do have to do a little bit of safety measures. I don't necessarily believe in over baby proofing because this is life and they need to learn also boundaries and so forth. But you need to make it safe. I mean, one time I went into a home to do a visit, and the mom was just like, you know, my child was just like, oh, so kind of active, can't sit still, no. I mean, and this was at the time a 2-year-old. I walked around the house, everything was locked. All the doors were locked, there were baby gates everywhere. And he basically had the living room, and even in the living room, everything was baby gated around. And the parents would come around, and anything that needed to be put away would be put in this like well of stuff. And then the child did exactly the same thing. Everything that he found, he would just put it there. So, but he had no place to really go. He couldn't go in the kitchen, he couldn't go in the bathroom, everything was, so to me, that's that's not really their home. So we really need to be thinking about, you know, we're having a child, we're bringing them into our home, we want to share our space, but making it safe. As I said, movement was a need, so the home needs to encourage movement. I do not recommend any of the things that you might buy that will restrict your child from moving about freely. We have many, many contraptions that the great marketing world of baby gadgets creates for us, such as exotoddlers and bouncers and swings and all that. The child did not get in there by themselves, they can't get out of there by themselves. That is not freedom of movement.
So it's very interesting. So you're saying bounce, because we all.
The extra saucers and all that.
Do you understand what she's saying? No? Okay.
So you know the extra saucers that you buy, the little seats where you pick up your child, you put them in the seat and they're entertained, right? Well, think about it. Would you like to be picked up off the ground and put into this thing where you just get to touch these things in front of you? You can't get out, you can't get in. Yes, you're entertained for a little bit, but you're not developing your movements. You're not able to crawl and so forth. Yes.
Well, then where else would I put my 8-month-old baby?
On the floor.
On the floor?
On the mat. On the floor.
She grows.
No.
Right?
She was like that.
That's fine. The movement, our body needs to learn to move by itself. Okay, so the baby starts lying kind of not much movements. I mean, and when we look at them, they do move quite a bit, but not much movement. Then they learn to roll over one side, roll over on the other side. Eventually they'll sit up, eventually they'll crawl, but they need time and space and freedom to be able to do that. So if we're putting them in things that they can't get in and out of, they don't get that opportunity. Yes.
Okay, like you say that it's just good to let them, you know, be around, do whatever they want. But, you know, there's things like shoes, there's like trash cans. There's the things that you don't want them to put things on their mouth. And you put them away, but they still like, they try to get them.
That's why it's important to take a little bit of time and prepare the environment. So when you set them down, you can also sit down and know that there's nothing that dangerous that they're going to get into. You know, shoes and stuff, yeah, they're dirty, but it's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world kind of thing. You know, trash, yeah, I would take stuff away. You know, and I would take anything that's fragile or breakable that you don't want them to get into. But there's a lot of things that they can just explore, and that's part of developing their muscles, their bodies. So yes.
What about like her, that she says she has a baby and she said she doesn't crawl yet? But what about she has floor in her house? And she
Floor?
could pay, like, yeah, she could.
So if I
That she can be
had
in
my 8-month-old baby, which I don't because I have an 18 and a 14-year-old, so. But if I had one today, I probably would have brought a blanket and put him on the floor. Okay? Because, hey, that's okay. You know, but it is, yes.
What if you are like cooking dinner for the family and can't sit with the child?
The child is okay to be alone too, you know, if they're safe, they're okay to be on the ground. You can have, you know, a few little toys on the ground on their blanket. Or I like baby wearing as well when I'm cooking, you know, I might want to put them on my back so there's less danger. But and I know that people, you know, like to use these exercises and everything so they have clean hands. Just be aware that it's in minimal amount of time. Okay, I'll close my eyes, I'll look the other way, but not a habit where that's where they're spending a lot of time.
So you would say like maybe if she can't crawl, get off the kitchen and have her on the blanket in the kitchen.
Exactly.
Restrict the high chair.
The high chair restricts
I
too.
put my butt in the high chair.
So-
And I give her food in the high chair and black.
But so it's an interesting perspective, right? She's introducing an idea that we will kind of is counter to what we've been taught, right?
Right.
You're doing something, you put your kid in something, right?
And just beware, this whole movement thing is a whole class unto itself. I spent an hour and a half just talking about that, so, maybe I'll just go through the rest of the presentation more than, okay.
She had one more question.
Yes.
My son is a baby, because I have Tyler now.
Uh-huh.
And he's that baby that he don't want to play with baby toys. He wants to play with objects that are not toys.
That's good,
And
as he should.
like, I also have a pit bull too.
Uh-huh.
And she's always in the house. She doesn't like mind the baby. And he's like, when I'm doing something, he always wants to go and mess with her. That's why I always push him into a playpen or something. But then like after 5 minutes, he doesn't want to be there anymore. And then
Can you put the dog somewhere else while he's roaming in the house?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would rather that the child has free range as opposed to the dog. Okay, so then we have, so these are the things that we want to encourage in the home. So great conversation about movement, and I could go on for a lot about it. We could talk about it. Concentration. Concentrate is something that we need to encourage. And that means not interrupting our children. So then when they are fiddling with something, playing with a toy, looking at something, we don't interrupt them. Just like maybe when you're studying for something or you're preparing a project, you kind of like to be just in your flow, left alone, and concentrate. Children are no different. Concentration is when connections are being made in the brain. That's when your brain is getting stronger and smarter and so forth. So it's very important to protect concentration.
So like no television on and stuff like that, or?
So you're probably gonna all think I'm totally crazy, but I say no screens whatsoever before 12 years of age.
Then you're the little baby.
Do you understand what she's saying?
No phone,
No, I didn't
no
hear that.
iPad, no computer screen, no TV, no screen.
Why not?
Why not? That's a whole other conversation. It does nothing good for their brain.
Yes, well, she's talking more.
On screen?
So Anna, you got
Oh,
it?
okay.
I disagree.
I'm gonna disagree because my daughter is talking more in English. And it's kind of like she repeat what they're saying, you know? So it's kind of
How old is
kind
she?
of what she's 3.
But she's probably repeating because she's heard also English during the day and other things.
Yeah,
I would rather-
it's like when she watches those like Here's George, or then whatever person she watches, she'll try to repeat what they're saying too.
So there's been many studies that have been done that really kind of, explain that children learn language from human beings other than, and they don't learn language from machines. And again, last night I went to an amazing talk where that's what this doctor talked about. Children do not learn from machines such as screens. So it's more about, exposing them to other people. Yes.
Well, I disagree too.
Why?
You know what, I'm sure that a lot of you disagree, and this is a uphill battle, but when you look more and more at research of what screens does to our children's brain, it's not really positive. So just, be aware of that, and that, again, in small quantities, maybe, why not, but not making it a habit.
Yes, like you said, he doesn't watch all the time, but only like when I bring him to school, he would stay there for a while, or he would be doing something else. But at home, like when he starts, because he also has stuff, the teacher told me that he was like too smart for his age, and the only
No
thing
such
that
thing as too smart.
I mean, like, because he knows the numbers and he knows a lot of stuff, and she told me that what I was doing, and I wasn't doing nothing. He was just like in the tablet, he will only watch like songs that they would say the ABC or 1, 2, 3, 4, all this stuff.
Yeah, that's memorization, but, it's a whole other conversation, but. Just if I could interrupt, you're talking about the optimal situation.
Yes, of course. And that's what I said.
Yeah, the best. In the best of, in the best of worlds, you have all the time in the world to just interact with your child, and you have nothing else to do but to hang out with your child and give them language and numbers and all that. I know that that's not a reality, so, it's just, in the best world, we try to avoid too much screen before the brain is fully developed. Yes.
Well,
I also kind of disagree because I mean, my brother, we talk to him in English and Spanish, and he didn't really like repeat it. He never tried to mimic it. And when he started watching, I always put the PBS and like learning shows, and he started doing things that I'm like, who teach you that? And I saw that he got it from the show. And I'm like, okay, you're not getting it from us, but from this. So I'm like wondering, like, why is it the tablets or the TV is bad for them when they repeat more of that than us?
It's just bad when it becomes a habit and that's the only thing they're doing. You know, there's a lot of children that spend a lot of time in front of the screen as opposed to being outside and just playing outside. They learn a lot by playing and exploring and all that. So it's just important to just be mindful and to know that there's a limit to everything in moderation.
What if they do both? You know, like they're into the TV and tablet, whatever it finds, but they're also like engaging in the going out or playing. Sure. But they get it more from the TV than from outside.
I choose to disagree.
Jean. So, I super appreciate your patience because the girls you're the professor right now,
Okay,
so we're
okay.
in college class.
Okay.
So they have to disagree, they have to provide an example.
Good, yeah.
But also, what else? So what if the professor's like, no, this is what the evidence says?
And then you
I don't know, she's right.
So what do you ask? Yeah.
No, I disagree with you, but I have evidence of how wrong.
Could you send me the, could you, can I read some of that research? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
take two.
I have this little drawing here to kind of explain the four little areas that I was talking about. The desk is shaking. What happened here? Okay, so when I say sleeping area, you can see here, I don't have a crib in my room. Oh my gosh, I have a floor bed. I have a bed that is a mattress on the floor. So depending on whether at the beginning you are sharing your bed with baby, at the very beginning when they're small, that can sometimes be helpful, especially if you're breastfeeding during the night. But as they get older, they need their own space. And their space can be a crib mattress on a rug, on the floor, or in a little frame. A crib, as I explained before, it's another type of container that we are putting our child into that they can't get themselves out to. So it's kind of taking away that freedom of movement. Okay? The physical, yes?
What if my daughter, she's already smart enough to get up and on the bed even when I die, and she loves being so independent that she actually goes off my bed and go to sleep and wake up and is that okay?
That's fine. But you've given her she's able to move. So she has figured out with age to be able to get up on a bigger bed. And you know, this is kind of a, you know, people think it's kind of a crazy idea, but you know what? The child is very smart and will very quickly figure out that this mattress is way more comfortable than the tile floor or the hardwood floor, and they'll stay on there. And yes, at the beginning they might roll off, but you know what? You can make it safe so they don't hurt themselves, but they will quickly learn that this area is my bed, and it's comfortable, and this is where I'm going to stay. And the wonderful thing about this is if you do this from the beginning, a child who is tired will go on their bed and go to sleep. And a child who is done sleeping will get up and go play with something. Will not cry for you to come get them, or you don't have to go, are you tired? Maybe you're tired. Maybe I should put you in that crib. So, yes. Another question.
I was just gonna say, like, what about for the girls who have closets? Is what my son has a bed from Target that's just cars, and he lays there and he goes to sleep.
No. Right, so when I'm talking about the floor bed, I'm talking about it from the very beginning. So at the beginning, when you have an infant, maybe the first 3 months, I like to use a little Moses basket or having a bed with me really at the beginning. But very, very quickly for them to have a place of their own, so maybe during nap time and so forth, and for them to have a choice. So, whether you are still co-sleeping or bed sharing, at least they have something that they can call their own if they choose to go lie down on their own. Yes.
Okay, it's normal for your child to sleep with you all the time.
To sleep in white?
Is it normal?
With you all the time.
With you? That's up to you. That's a very personal thing. My husband refused to have my child in our own bedroom, so I kind of have to give up that idea. If I were to go back in time, I would say, I'm sorry, but you need to move out and I'm sleeping here with my baby.
Because I have always he's about to be 4 in August. My son is 4 and he has his own bed, but I know it's something different when a baby comes in. So since I have my baby right now, the baby's a year and a month. She sleeps with me all the time, and she has her crib, but she never wanted to sleep with her.
So try a floor bed. Try taking that mattress out of the crib and putting it on the floor, so that it's something that she can choose to go to and get out of.
No, but that's the thing. I try to put my son in his bed and sleep the baby in the crib, but then the baby will start crying, and then my son wants to go off with me. Like they both want to sleep.
Right. So that's a whole routine that you need to set up and just explain. Your 4-year-old is smart enough to understand that you need his help to be able for both of them to sleep in the room.
Because he has to be treated like a baby too.
Yeah. Well, but no, he's not. There was another question. Yes, I'm sorry.
So my daughter is 5 months. So what would I do?
So where does she sleep right now?
It's just a little looking at me.
A little bassinet.
Kind of. Yeah.
That's with you in your room?
Yeah, but it's right next to me.
So, I mean, if that's okay, but I would try to just create a little space, maybe, in your room with a mattress and just making that her space, because soon she'll be able to crawl off and crawl on and just have that freedom.
And like I know he said the Moses basket, like I saw one of those, like, oh, really great.
Yeah, no, she's too old for that. That's now just the mattress. And when I say the mattress, I'm meaning just, really a mattress with a fitted sheet, nothing on it, because you don't want them to, get themselves in pillows and blankets. And
So when they're crawling and they just kind of like get off.
you'll learn. That's how you learn. When you trip, you're careful. That's how you learn. We can't bubble wrap our children. They're gonna be yes.
So that's normal.
Yes.
It's like my family, everybody will look at me weird when I was on let them be. If she trips, I mean,
Exactly.
she's never crashing on every lesson or when getting up or down the bed. I mean, like she's learning things.
Exactly.
But people will look at me like I was a bad mom.
No, you're not. You're not. You're letting her figure things out and you're letting her be independent. When we overprotect our children, and it's funny because this talk I went to last night was all about that, of just, how we hear this term helicopter parents and all that. And she just makes fun of all these parents that, we're not giving them life skills. When we're doing everything for them, we're overprotecting them. We're not preparing them for the real world. So, yes.
My son, one time I went to the kitchen and I for a distraction for him to not realize that I was gone. Because when I leave, he starts crying, so I put some cartoons and I left. And I see, when I came back to the room, he was in the floor. But I didn't hear nothing, I didn't hear him falling in the floor, nothing. So I have a kind of idea that or blankets are a little bit of slippery. So I think that he went to his and he did that with my suegra's bed. He did that and he didn't fall. He grabbed with his hand and everything. I was like, oh my god. But I was like, okay, I'm gonna let him be, not gonna be like running to him and expect to save him.
Good.
Because if I did, I was gonna be like crying.
So you see, these are some pictures of floor beds and how I brought down some artwork down low so that they can see it. They love family pictures or artwork, but down low because they're not up here like we are, right? So when you're creating a little space for them, or even like in the hallway or thing, you can put some family pictures of maybe some ancestors that you miss or brothers and sisters that live far away. That's a great way to tell them stories. That's a great way to connect them to the family and to the community. And you see how it's very minimal. There's very few toys, so when they're done sleeping, there's not too much that they can get themselves into.
So what kind of like months or each, we can do that?
Day one. Throw them in the pool. But you know what? It's okay. You have to set it up from the beginning. And at the beginning, I think our instinct is that we want to have the baby close to us, and they need to have the skin to skin and close to us. So that's good for the first few months. But as soon as you're wanting to have your space, you can invite them to have theirs too. So it's just again, I know this is kind of different than what you see in the most, nursery things.
Everything.
And all that, right?
Everything.
Exactly.
Television, all of it.
Exactly. But I mean, when you think about it, when we look at magazines and we go through all the beautiful nurseries and everything, when you look at them, try to see it from a crawling baby's perspective.
It's like
There's nothing for them. It's a beautiful environment for the adults. Everything is up high, there's a picture of me being pregnant, there's a picture of me da. But it's there for the baby. So I'm just making that.
I really thought looks like something I would like to do.
Yeah.
Well, then you're gonna have to use on top of
So when do you stop? Or do you stop right now?
That's the beautiful thing, is you don't have to buy a crib, so you save a lot of money there. And the only thing that you might change is if you start with a crib mattress. Crib mattress is good for 3-4 years, depending on the size of your child. And then you go to a twin mattress. And you can have that forever. The only thing that you can change is maybe putting it on a higher frame because, your older child can get up and down from your bed. But, the room there with those are 2 little girls. They are 9 and 5, and that's fine. So, and then you can, yes.
My worry is like the dust, or even if constantly there's dust is always going to gather on the floor. Pop up, or cockroaches, spiders, your baby's on the floor.
Now, we need to be, definitely, we need to be careful of making sure that it's safe. So, I would definitely make sure that it's clean and all of that. And as they get older, they can help you do the dusting and all of that because they love doing that. Yeah. Did you have a question, Mary Jane? Okay.
Make sure that she's out there, because I didn't hear though about spiders and.
So I just say, to do a safety check, of course, to make sure that environment. Because when you're doing a room with a floor bed, it's true that you need to make sure that the entire room is safe, But, when you think about it, the crib was a 19th century invention, and it really is to appease the adult. And when you look at different cultures around the world, I think the Western world is one of the only ones that actually uses this kind of container to put our children in. So true. So it's just, again, I'm just trying to make you think differently than. The bedroom is also a place for them to learn to care for themselves. So again, we're lowering mirrors so that they can brush their hair. You want to lower the rods so they have access to their clothes. Here I would say there's maybe a little bit too many clothes. I would definitely limit their choice. You know, a little stool for them to have help when they're putting on and off their socks. A mirror that they can see themselves. That's really very helpful when they're learning to get dressed. They can see that they've got their pants on backwards. You don't say anything. You let them walk out of the house. It's okay. They've checked it out. Then I wanted to talk a little bit about how we set up the bathroom. But first, when we have a baby, at the beginning, we are doing a lot of the physical care, what I call the physical care, so changing the, dressing them and all that. One thing to keep in mind is that a lot of the changing tables that I see today is we are tending to our children sideways. Oh, yeah, I like that. Which one? Right? All of the changing tables are kind of up against the wall, and we're just kind of, we're kind of sideways, and they're kind of looking at us like this. So try to either shift yourself so you're looking at them, or change the changing table so it's oriented. I much prefer looking at somebody straight on than caring for them sideways. So something else to be thinking about when they're small. When they start really fighting you, when you put them down on that changing table, that is them communicating with you that it is time for you to give them something else. And that is when you start introducing the potty. And you start bringing that into your routine. It is their way of communicating. Mom, I'm done with this. Show me something else.
Same thing at 9 months, I have to teach my daughter how to go to the
Yes.
bathroom.
Yes.
Maybe she's advanced.
It's not teaching her, it's following her request of her saying, Mommy, I don't really like lying down here and you putting the diaper. Is she able to sit on her own?
Yeah.
So I would invite her maybe just one time during the day when, you know, maybe waking up from a nap or waking up in the morning when you know that she usually pees. I would invite her to go sit on a potty so that it becomes just part of your routine. Instead of bringing her to the changing table and taking off the diaper, you go in the bathroom, take off the diaper, and sit her on the potty. So again, it's a transition, but it's routine. But her fighting you, that's her saying, Mom, show me how to be independent. And toilet learning is a big, big step in independence. I mean, imagine not being able to care for yourself and having to have somebody else take you to the bathroom and so on and so forth. Yes.
What about the fighting because my son, I'm like, Papa, it's time to change your diaper, go give me a diaper one piece, and then he gives me a diaper one piece, and then he lays down and he's 3.
Well, he's just kept it a routine. So for a 3-year-old, I would just stop buying diapers.
Yeah.
And stop putting on the cotton underwear. And that's a big transition, but you gotta do it, and you gotta commit to it.
You put it on when he sleeps?
Yes. And but toilet is, I could do a whole class on it, so I'm more than happy to come back and just do toilet.
They are gonna have you for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know, what I was trying to get a feel of what, you know, so toilet will be one. Okay.
Okay, girls, listen up. Very good.
I
2 months. My son is 11 months and he hates like changing them for the mom. But in my family, taking to the bathroom at this age is gonna be like so much trauma about it because my family is Mexican and the tradition is different. And I wanted for my baby brother, like when he was 1, to put him to get diaper fire change. My tia got mad. He's like, no, you're not gonna do that. You're gonna, I don't know, like it's something crazy, like go to the bathroom and like putting air to his like butthole and
I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah.
No, so there's a lot, again, you know, I fully disagree with that. And there's a great book that's called Diaper Free Before 3. Diaper Free Before 3 is a great resource, and I truly believe that it can be before 2. If you're doing it by following your child, when your child gives you the sign. So 11-month-old, I would change it standing up in the bathroom and introduce the potties and so forth. Okay, and I will be back just to talk about the potty, and I'll bring the potty. Okay.
We'll try my.
Yes.
For you, how old do the kids have to be potty trained?
So both of mine were done by 2.
By 2?
Yeah. Completely on their own, and maybe 3 months later, nighttime.
With the pamper in the night, 6 by 2.
Did you cross diapers already?
I did not. I did not, but I wish I had. I mean, there's so many things I wish I had done now that I know so much more, but you know, hey. Yes.
What do you do for the night?
So the night I still do diaper, and the night they will tell you when that diaper is dry for 4 or 5 nights in a row. You can say, hey, I noticed that, you know, this thing dry, maybe we should just not get any more of these.
And then it's
And yes, things will happen, and you need to like pay attention to how much drink you're giving before nighttime, or you know, inviting them to go in the bathroom before going to bed. I mean, you know, you kind of change up your routine so that you make sure there's success. Yes.
Like, I would try to call you, but like, he needs, I mean, not like, when he gets like to anything, like, I think it would be hard because he needs to have like,
So maybe just the cup is gonna get smaller and the amount is gonna get smaller. Or maybe he has a large cup, you know, an hour before, so that he can eliminate and then, you know, have a sip. So you just kind of need to think about it. And just one semantic correction to wording. I don't like the word training. It's really about learning. It's really about further independence. And it's just really helping them on that road. We're not training them to go to the bathroom, you know, they know how to do that. We're just giving them new skills and new tools to be able to be independent. So, yeah. Access to water is super important in the bathroom, because when you are teaching them about the toilet, hand washing is part of the routine, and they need to be able to do that on their own. And then I like to, if I can, bring down some towel racks and bring down a little shelf so that they can have their own things. Again, when we're preparing the environment, we want to be aware of not to leave, you know, the big monster tub of lotion from Costco, but maybe a little travel one, so that they can have that independence, but you're not going to get yourself in a situation where there's lotion everywhere. So just, you know, be aware that it takes a little bit of preparation. Then I like to move into the kitchen. The kitchen is a wonderful, wonderful place for them to learn about all sorts of things. And so many times I hear families say, oh, dinner time. I mean, I'm trying to get dinner ready and my child always wants to be with me. Blah, 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 blah. Invite them in. Give them a little piece of it. Give them a potato and a little scrub brush.
I know.
Excuse me?
What if the grease goes everywhere and it like drops on them?
Well, we need to be careful what we're cooking, and maybe put it on the back burner and put a filter so it doesn't splatter everywhere. I mean, we need to be careful for ourselves, right? They don't need to be right at the stove with you. You can put them at the other side of the kitchen with some things. And here, I mean, and you're welcome to come look. But I brought some little fun tools that are just regular tools, but they're their size, so that they're successful when they do things. You can even give them knives. That's a little butter knife. Wonderful for spreading, wonderful for cutting banana or avocado. they learn the skill. And then later on, you can give them something, this is a little chopper that they use both hands. You know, a little scrub brush to just clean the potatoes. They'll be so happy. And you will get all of your dinner done. You'll never see that potato again, but that's okay. They're involved, they're doing something, they're happy. Sure, sure. You can make them a little apron. When they have the apron, they know that they've got to be careful, you know. And these are easy to make, super easy to make. I have patterns if you want, or, you know, they're on things. But I like to have tools that are good quality, but for them. Like, I don't like all the pretend, you know, plasticky stuff where they're not going to be successful. And this one they can put on their own because it's you know, elastic, and then it's just a little Velcro, so totally independent. You have it on a little hook down in the kitchen. They put it on. They know they've got to be on their best behavior, and so yeah. So the kitchen, I like to organize it where they can get their own things. So a little low shelf under the kitchen counter, or one of the cupboards, or maybe a bottom drawer. Yes.
What if my kitchen isn't big enough to add more things?
So do you have like a bottom drawer that you could just dedicate to his or her things?
No. Because it's the cleaning supply and the dishes one of the.
So maybe you just need to rethink about where you're putting the cleaning supplies. Maybe the cleaning supplies can go up high, or in the garage, or in, you know, in another closet that they can't have. So we need to just rethink. We need to think for their special needs. You know, there's a woman.
We don't got space at all.
Right, so you have to like really be creative.
And sometimes, you know what, it takes sometimes we just end up thinking like we have just way too much stuff around. And if we just make a little bit of space, we realize like, oh, yeah, I can make, you know, just half of the drawer space or half of the cupboard. It doesn't have to be the whole kitchen. You know, we're talking about just a little shelf somewhere where you just have two bowls. You don't have to have, you know, your grandmother's china out for them.
What about if you have 2 kids?
Right? Fine.
And they fight for that?
Well, no, you have it here. This is a house for 2. They have, you know, both their things. So it's just a matter of organizing. Yes. So the water thing, I'm careful as to how much water I'm gonna run it in. Because we know that they love those spouses. But like this, I'm gonna make this accessible to them. This is from a very, very early age. This is 9 months. You know what this is?
A shot glass.
A shot glass. And I'm sure you guys all have one. Okay. They don't need a sippy cup and all that. They can drink from this. And this is a little creamer. And all I put in here is enough water to go in the cup. Because we know that when they start pouring, they don't stop pouring. Right? And I even cut a sponge to their size. So if there is a little spill, we can show them how to pick it up. And this is just a regular sponge that I just cut in pieces. So I don't know. And that's it. But this is for them at their size. So that little cup of water. And they love to pour. They love to pour. And also just really quickly, because they were talking over here about the fact that it's glass, and there may be some concern. Okay, so glass, fragile things. Why would we want to give fragile things to our children? So they can learn. And you know what? Beauty attracts. Beauty engages the world. So usually they look at a little fragile. And they are very, very careful. They will be so careful and they don't want to break it. Because if it breaks, well, they will learn about it. And yes, you have to clean it up and you be careful. Don't you worry, they won't break that glass again. When we give them a plastic sippy cup, first of all, we're not giving them information so that when we put it upside down, it spills. And then when they throw it across the room, nothing happens. So we're not really giving them much to learn from.
You're just trying to start a revolution.
I'm starting a revolution.
Oh, real.
So it's fine if that thing breaks and hurts someone, if it breaks, it's fine if that happens?
I'm not gonna say it's okay for the break to hurt them, no, we're going to be very careful.
But you can be careful with glasses if it breaks. I mean, obviously you're gonna clean it up, but if they
So
have.
if the glass breaks, oh, it broke, here, let me clean up. And you clean it up, you make sure that all the pieces are gone. You're not gonna let your child clean it up or go play with the pieces of glass.
But you said a nine-month-old.
A 9-month-old can very much hold this.
She's pretty much just gonna hit it, or
She's gonna be sitting down and learning. Want a picture? This one? Yeah. So this is a shoe rack. Those very like $2 shoe rack at IKEA. And this is for 2 children. So there's 2 children in this home. It's just 2 shoe racks next to each other behind the couch, and there's just a few things. And you see they're organized kind of like in little baskets, like I did here, where you just have, so the child can take the basket, go play with it, everything goes back and it goes back on the shelf. Okay? And then do I have time for just one kind of important little lesson for you? But I need total silence from everybody. Okay. Okay. So down here on the bottom, I have the word show. Show. And we want to show our children how to do something new. Think of this word. Slow hands, omit words. That's what show stands for. Slow hands, omit words. Okay? So let me give you an example. Look at, today I brought you a padlock with a key and I tied it together. I'm going to show you how to open it with the key. So I slowed down my movements, and when I was showing this child, I wasn't talking through it. We tend to over-talk everything. We're blah, 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 blah. The child hears the fraction of a second, and the rest of the time they tune you out. The only problem with you if they keep on talking is they're not looking at this, they're looking at your mouth. So they're not looking at what you're wanting them to get. And why you slow your hands down is because they need time to kind of figure out what you're doing. So they want to analyze your movement. So you really want to, you know, oh, look it, I got you a little holder with a Velcro. I'm going to show you how to open and close it. Right? And I said, oh, look, I got your little shop. You see it opens and closes. You see it? You see it? You see it? They're not concentrating on what you're doing. So show. Slow hands. Omit words.
What does omit mean?
Omit? What does omit mean? Does anybody know what omit means? In your way? Clear. From the example that I showed you, what do you think it would mean?
Like no words.
No words, exactly. So omit means none. So we're in silence. We're showing them with very slow movements without saying a word. Okay, so omit, no words. That helpful? And then it goes into the outdoor environment, so same idea, good quality tools, doing things with them. And then I can only encourage you to be outside with your children as much as possible, especially here. We have beautiful weather and lots of places to go for walks. And then I will leave you with this. These are all the things you can be doing with your children. but remembering never to enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so for your analysis, you should have a rich body of choices for your claim. I gave you many claims that
And
you might have
remember,
never even heard before.
If you have any questions, you can put them on the Facebook page, and we'll be sure to get them to her, or, yeah, we'll get them to her and make sure that your questions get answered. And I also have, if any of you use Pinterest, I have a lot of the pictures that you saw, a lot of, oops, what happened there? A lot of the ideas are on the Pinterest, so, you can definitely go there, and it's just, Voila Montessori. Because everyone's watching this. Okay. Okay, so, yeah, if you just look for Voila Montessori on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube. And YouTube, yeah, I have a Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, and a website, so you can have those, what I was saying, a few of my favorite things are on there. Now, I'm supposed to come back 2 more times? Yes. So what do you want me to talk about? Toilets, okay. What else? Do you need, some tools for discipline?
Yeah.
You wanna do a time with positive discipline?
Yeah.
Yeah?
And like some good activities.
Okay, so maybe the time I come for the toilet, we can do half toilet, half activities. And then positive discipline, it will be a little bit more interactive, would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Because we do role plays.
Absolutely.
Okay? Okay, perfect. Yeah, thank you.
The one, like, where you can see and.
Oh.
Your.
All the things you like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have a few other little things I got up here. And there's also a really cool Facebook page called Montessori on a Budget. So if you can't afford Montessori on a budget. And there's also Montessori 101, which I really like. It's a very big community, a lot of moms like you wanting to do things differently at home, and it's a very nice, big support group. Yeah, and people share things, and if you spend the time to make some really cool toys, and then if your kid doesn't want to use them anymore, you can post them and give them away to somebody in the group, and so there's always something really neat going on in those groups. Very good job. All righty. Okay.